Think about how, well, interconnected everything is these days. It's almost like pulling a thread, isn't it? Tug it here, and you feel a jolt somewhere totally unexpected.
Yeah, exactly.
And today, we're diving into something that really hits that home. A cyber attack on, a major global food producer.
Mm-hmm.
This deep dive, by the way, is brought to you by Stonefly. They're leaders in enterprise storage, backup, disaster recovery, AI storage, cloud solutions, the works.
Right.
So if you're looking for secure, genuinely ransomware-proof storage, think air-gapped, immutable options to really protect your critical operations, you should reach out. Their team's at sales@stonefly.com for a demo.
Good point. And that brings us right to Arla Foods. The news broke recently about a cyber attack hitting their production facility in Upahl, Germany.
Arla Foods. Okay, the name rings a bell. Most of us have probably seen their stuff in the supermarket.
Oh, definitely.
But Arla isn't just some local dairy, is it? Give us a sense of the scale here.
Oh, far from local. Arla's this massive farmer-owned cooperative, a real giant.
How giant are we talking?
Okay, get this. 7,600 farmer members, 23,000 employees scattered across, 39 countries.
Wow.
And their annual revenue, $13.8 billion. Billion with a B. Their brands, Arla Butter, Lurpak, Puck Castell cheeses.
Even those Starbucks chilled coffees.
Yep, those two. They sell this stuff in 140 countries. It's huge.
Okay, so when even one production unit of a company that big gets hit,
Yeah,
that's going to cause some ripples, isn't it?
absolutely. Turbulence is a good word for it.
What kind of immediate fallout are we expecting? What did Arla say?
Well, Arla themselves have indicated we should expect product delivery delays. And unfortunately, probably some order cancellations too.
Right.
When a key player like this gets disrupted, especially in production, the knock-on effects for logistics, they're just inevitable.
And this just happened, right? Pretty recent.
Yeah, very recent. Reports started surfacing Friday, May 16th, 2025.
Oh.
There is a bit of, let's say, encouraging news. Arla seems to think they can get back to normal operations at that Upahl site pretty quickly, maybe within the next few days, hopefully before the end of this week, the week of the 19th.
That's something, at least.
And importantly, they're saying their other production sites are fine, not affected, according to them anyway.
Okay, good. So contained to one location, it seems. But the big question, what kind of attack was it? Do we know? Was it ransomware? Did they steal data?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, we have more questions than answers right now.
Oh.
Arla's been, very tight-lipped about the specifics. They haven't confirmed if data was stolen or if systems were encrypted. The usual hallmarks of ransomware. And what's also interesting, maybe even a bit weird, is that Arla's name hasn't popped up on any of those dark web ransomware leak sites.
Where the gangs usually boast about their victims.
Exactly. So the nature of the attack, who's behind it.
Yeah.
It's still pretty much a mystery at this point.
This whole Arla situation, it feels kind of familiar, like deja vu. We've heard about other big food companies having cyber issues before, haven't we? This isn't just a one-off, is it?
You're absolutely right. It's not isolated at all. This fits right into a growing, frankly, worrying pattern. The vulnerability of the entire food supply chain.
We've seen attacks on Dole.
Dole, yeah. Mondelez, Cisco. These weren't small incidents. They really highlighted how the food sector's become, a prime target.
Why, though? What makes food so attractive to hackers? Is it just the size of these companies?
That's part of it, but it's more the impact. Think about it. Disrupting food supplies, that causes widespread harm, potentially even panic.
Right, it's fundamental.
Exactly. Plus, the industry itself is becoming so much more reliant on tech, IoT, software. It's everywhere now, from farm to fork.
Internet of Things, so sensors and stuff.
Yeah, sensors, connected devices. And all that connectivity, unfortunately, creates a much bigger attack surface for criminals to exploit.
So it's not just the big automated factories, it's the whole journey, right from the start.
Precisely. Think about where it begins sourcing raw materials. Farms are increasingly high-tech now.
Like what?
Soil sensors, automated irrigation, drone monitoring. If those systems get compromised, it could mess with yields, quality, the basic ingredients.
That goes to manufacturing processing.
Exactly. And those places are often heavily automated. Complex assembly lines, control systems. A cyber attack there doesn't just stop production, causing delays.
It could be worse.
Potentially, yes. Imagine someone tampering with the process itself or messing with the quality testing systems. Suddenly, huge batches of food could be rendered unsafe. That's a really scary thought.
Yeah, it is. And after it's made, it has to get to the stores. Distribution.
Another complex stage, highly reliant on tech. Refrigerated trucks, warehouses with controlled environments.
Also vulnerable.
Definitely. If those systems are hacked, you could have spoilage on a massive scale. Or even worse, deliberate tampering. Maybe even counterfeit products getting slipped into the real supply chain.
And then finally, the supermarket shelf or the online store. What's the risk there?
At the retail end, the most common thing we see is data breaches. Stealing customer payment info.
Right, like credit card numbers.
Exactly. Which doesn't directly hit the physical food supply in the same way, but it erodes trust and causes major financial headaches.
Okay, let's really dig into how these digital attacks actually cause physical world disruptions. It's not always obvious how a computer virus leads to an empty shelf.
Right. Well, one of the most immediate ways is hitting the transport and logistics systems.
The software that runs everything.
Yeah, programs managing truck fleets, warehouse stock, delivery schedules. If those get breached or locked up, the whole distribution network can just seize up.
And that's when we see empty shelves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's super critical for perishable goods. Milk, fresh produce, every hour counts there.
You mentioned PLCs earlier, programmable logic controllers. Can you explain those a bit more? Why are they such a weak spot?
Sure. PLCs are basically the little industrial computers that run the machinery on the factory floor.
Oh, yeah.
They control everything. Mixing ingredients precisely, adding preservatives, cooking times, the lot. Now, if a hacker gets access to those PLCs,
They can change the recipe.
potentially yes.
Yeah.
Or alter safety parameters. They can introduce contamination, mess with allergens. The consequences could be catastrophic, honestly.
That's alarming. What about risks that aren't directly inside the food company's own network?
Third parties. That's a huge one. Think about ingredient suppliers, packaging companies, even the software vendors or IT support they use.
So hack the supplier to get to the main target.
Exactly. If a supplier system is compromised, attackers can use that access as the backdoor into the food company. Estimates suggest like 15% of attacks involve these third-party links. Even seemingly harmless things like if a company accidentally exposes its food safety plans online, HACCP plans, stuff like that. Attackers can study those to find weak spots in physical processes or security.
And then there's shadow IT. What's that about?
Shadow IT. Yeah, that's basically employees using apps, software, or devices for work that the IT department hasn't approved or even knows about.
Like using a personal Dropbox for work files.
Exactly. Or some free online tool that hasn't been checked for security holes. These things create easy entry points because they bypass the official security controls. And it's surprisingly common. Studies show maybe 80% of workers use some kind of SaaS app without IT knowing.
80%. Okay. We also touched on refrigeration. How can cyber attacks target that specifically?
Well, think about those huge refrigerated warehouses or temperature-controlled shipping containers. They're crucial for meat, dairy, vaccines, even fancy wine. Those rely on digital systems to keep the temperature and humidity just right. If a hacker messes with those controls, they can spoil entire shipments, potentially causing foodborne illnesses when that spoiled product reaches consumers.
So, beyond messing with the physical stuff, there's still the classic data theft, right?
Oh, absolutely. Stealing data is often a primary goal.
What kind of data?
Could be sensitive business secrets, customer lists, financial records, maybe even recipes or formulas, intellectual property.
And then what? Ransom?
Often, yes. They might lock up the data with ransomware and demand payment, or they might threaten to release it or just sell it on the dark web. We saw, over $1 billion paid in ransoms globally in 2024, and that's just what's reported. The real number is likely much higher.
And the cost isn't just the ransom payment, is it?
Not even close.
Yeah.
You've got the cost of the operational downtime, lost production, lost sales, then massive expense of cleaning up the mess, restoring systems, maybe hiring forensic investigators.
Legal fees too, I bet.
Legal fees, potential regulatory fines. And then there's the damage to reputation and consumer trust. If people think your food isn't safe or your company can't protect their data, rebuilding that trust is incredibly hard.
Can you give us a couple of real-world examples to really bring home how bad this can get?
Sure. A big one everyone remembers is JBS, the huge meat packer, back in June 2021.
Right, I remember that.
The initial cause. Apparently something as simple as an employee reusing work login details on some other compromised website. Basic security lapse.
And the impact.
Huge. Major plant shut down, panic buying, worries about meat prices skyrocketing. JBS ended up paying an $11 million ransom. It just showed how a small mistake could have massive consequences.
$11 million. Wow. Another example.
Arla Foods, October 2021. They're a big dairy producer. Cream cheese is one of their main things.
Cream cheese.
They got hit hard. Production, distribution, ground to a halt. Milk processing stopped for days, and the timing was terrible right before the holidays.
So cream cheese shortages for Thanksgiving and Christmas baking?
Exactly. Big impact. The attackers reportedly wanted $2.5 million in ransom for that one.
It's interesting the Arla attack was in Germany. Does Germany's overall cyber situation shed any light here?
It does provide some context, yeah.
Huh.
The German Federal Office for Information Security, the BSI, their latest report from 2024 painted a pretty concerning picture.
Oh, so?
They highlighted how professional cybercrime has become. These aren't just kids in basements anymore. They use cutting-edge tech. They have organized structures. They offer crimes as a service.
So organized crime, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The BSI also noted the growing attack surface due to more digitalization and a rise in known vulnerabilities, especially in things like firewalls and VPNs, the kind of perimeter security a big company like Arla would rely on.
Okay.
And they specifically mentioned a trend of ransomware hitting small and medium businesses, even local governments, who often lack strong defenses. These attacks cause major disruption, like shutting down local council services for weeks.
Right. So it's a tough environment out there. Given all this, what can companies in the food sector actually do to defend themselves better? It sounds daunting.
It is daunting, but there are absolutely steps they can and should take. Building a strong cybersecurity posture across the entire supply chain is job one.
Where do they start?
Honestly, given incidents like Arla, doing an urgent review of their current defenses is key. See how they stack up against established frameworks like the NCSC's CAF? Regular vulnerability scanning, penetration testing. You have to proactively look for weaknesses.
So don't wait to be attacked. Find the holes first.
Exactly. And it's not just about having an incident response plan written down somewhere. You need to test it rigorously. Tabletop exercises. Simulate a real attack scenario. Bring everyone to the table, not just IT. Operations, legal, communications, quality control, everyone who'd be involved. See how the plan actually works or doesn't and figure out realistic recovery times.
What about the basics? Are things like passwords still important?
Absolutely critical. The fundamentals haven't gone away. Prompt patching, especially for known exploited vulnerabilities, that's non-negotiable. Strong, unique passwords everywhere. Multi-factor authentication, MFA, wherever possible.
And network segmentation, you mentioned that.
Yes, really important. Keeping the operational technology network, the OT network that runs the factory floor, separate from the main corporate IT network. If one gets breached, it makes it harder for attackers to jump across to the other.
The human element keeps coming up, too. People making mistakes, clicking phishing links.
It's often the weakest link. So ongoing, effective training is vital. Teach employees how to spot phishing emails, social engineering tricks, make them vigilant.
And help desks.
Good point. They need robust verification processes so attackers can't just call up pretending to be an employee and get passwords reset.
What about those third-party risks we talked about, suppliers and partners?
You need to scrutinize them. Implement thorough third-party risk management. Ask for proof of their security maturity. Maybe require certifications like Cyber Essentials Plus. Their vulnerability can become your nightmare.
Okay, let's focus on the OT side again. The factory floor systems. Securing those must be different from securing office computers, right?
It really is. It requires specialized expertise. Companies should follow standards designed for industrial control systems, like ISA ICTNA 62443 or NIST SP 882.
And track specific metrics.
Yeah, track things like what percentage of our critical PLCs have MFA? How quickly can we isolate a compromised machine on the factory floor? You need visibility into OT security specifically.
Does industry collaboration help? Sharing information?
Immensely. Joining industry ISAC's information sharing and analysis centers, like the Food and Drink ISAC, is valuable. Sharing threat intel best practices, it helps everyone raise their game. Using resources like the NCSC's Exercise in a Box for OT can also help teams practice.
You mentioned an OT zero trust security model earlier. What's the core idea there?
Zero trust, in essence, means never trust, always verify.
Okay.
You assume threats could be anywhere, inside or outside your network. So you continuously verify every user, every device, every connection, trying to access resources on the OT network. No implicit trust.
Are there some absolute baseline security measures, things every food company, big or small, just has to do?
Yes. Strong passwords, MFA. Keep all software updated patches are crucial. Secure networks with firewalls, encryption, hide your Wi-Fi SID even. Train your employees constantly. Have clear security policies.
Backups.
Absolutely vital. Regular backups, stored securely offsite or in the cloud. Use secure protocols like HTTPS for web traffic. And constantly monitor your systems for anything suspicious. Report it immediately.
Okay, let's say the worst happens. An attack gets through. What's the immediate playbook?
First, containment. Isolate the affected systems. Stop the bleeding. Preserve evidence for later analysis. Assess the damage. Figure out exactly what's hit. Get legal counsel involved early, especially regarding breach notification rules. Inform stakeholders transparency is key. Activate your incident response team.
And then eradicate the threat.
Yes. Contain and eradicate. Patch the vulnerability, change compromised passwords, clean infected systems. Support anyone affected, like employees whose data might have been stolen. And critically, do a post-mortem. Learn from it. What went wrong? How do we stop it happening again?
And looking longer term, what should companies be doing to really strengthen their defenses?
Invest in security. That might mean building an in-house team or partnering with a managed security service provider, robust firewalls, intrusion prevention systems, IPS, regular security audits, vulnerability scans using tools like Nmap, maybe.
Access control.
Definitely. Role-based access control, RBAC. People only get access to what they absolutely need. Use VPNs for secure remote access. Seriously consider that zero trust model. Keep up with backups. Keep training employees. Maybe look at automated security tools that can react quickly to threats.
This has been, well, really eye-opening. This deep dive into the Arla attack and just how exposed the whole food supply chain can be, it's clearly a huge, evolving threat.
It absolutely is. Arla is just the latest reminder. The food and beverage industry is squarely in the crosshairs of sophisticated cyber threats and the potential for major disruption affecting businesses and all of us as consumers. It's very real.
And it really drives home that this isn't just an IT problem, is it? The stakes feel much higher.
Exactly. Securing the food supply chain. That's fundamental to business continuity, yes, but also to public safety. Economic stability. We all depend on safe, reliable food. It's that basic.
So for businesses listening, maybe feeling a bit concerned about their own defenses, and they probably should be, remember, today's deep dive was brought to you by Stonefly. They really are leaders in enterprise storage, backup, DR, AI storage, and cloud solutions. If you're worried about ransomware, about protecting your critical data, Stonefly offers genuinely secure, ransomware-proof storage. Think air-gapped backups, immutable storage, the kind of stuff that really makes a difference.
Essential layers of defense.
Absolutely. You can learn more, schedule a demo, talk to their team at sales@stonefly.com. It really could be a vital step in protecting your operations and, frankly, the integrity of the food supply we all rely on.
It could. And maybe the final thought to leave people with is this. As our world gets ever more digital, ever more connected, how do we really guarantee the resilience of the physical systems that matter most? Like our food supply. It's a huge challenge, demanding constant vigilance, cooperation, and a real commitment to security from everyone involved.